Do you have an LLC? If so, then the last things you probably want is for your LLC to be audited by the IRS. IRS audits are stressful. IRS audits are tedious and basically just a nightmare in general. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Taxes Made Simple. I'm your host, Karlton Dennis. And in today's video, we're going to be talking all about IRS audits and how to prevent them. That's right. I'm going to be going over the top 5 reasons why your LLC could be audited this year in 2022. Knowing why your LLC could be audited can help you know what to do, what to watch out for, and how to prevent audits from happening to your company. And if you want to reduce the audit risk with your LLC, then get out a notepad and be ready to take some notes. Let's dive in. All right, guys, you know I don't like to waste a lot of time with my videos. Let's jump right into reason number 1. Your commingling expenses. I know you are. Commingling expenses means that you're treating your business's money as your own. And that is a big no-no when it comes to the IRS. There are a number of different ways that people frequently commingle their expenses. Here are some of those most common ways that you can get yourself in trouble for commingling expenses on your tax returns. Making withdrawals from your business checking account to pay for personal expenses without proper documentation. This one's a no-no. Number 2, writing business checks for personal expenses. Don't do it. Number 3, using a personal credit card for business expenses in order to get points. Don't do it. Number 4, using the same bank account for your personal and business needs. Don't do it. Number 5, moving money back and forth between your personal and business accounts without proper documentation. Do not do it. Commingling of expenses can definitely be a red flag to the IRS. One example of commingling expenses was when the famous Instagram star Dan Blazarian was accused of spending upwards to $800,000 worth of company money from his business, Ignite International Ltd, on extravagant personal expenses, such as installing a rock climbing wall, a paintball field in his home by the former president of Ignite. Yes, Curtis Hefferman. So if you do not want to get audited, then never commingle your personal and business expenses together. The second reason why your LLC might get audited is you're not using your EIN number. Your EIN number stands for your employer identification number. An employer identification number or an EIN number is a 9-digit number that is assigned to you to your business by the IRS. This number identifies your business for tax purposes. It is almost like a social security number for your business. I speak about this all the time. The IRS uses your EIN number in order to keep track of your business for tax reasons. So obviously, if you stop using it, especially when you're filing your taxes, then this is going to be a major red flag to the IRS and is going to be a serious audit trigger. This is especially true if your business is very cash heavy. I have a lot of barbers who like to use their social security numbers, or if your business is generating over $1 million in revenue per year as a single member LLC. Cash heavy businesses and businesses that generate a lot of revenue also tend to draw the attention of the IRS. So if you want to keep the IRS off of your back, draw less attention, and make sure you're using your EIN number. You know, that 9-digit number that was given to you. Make sure that you use it. All right, guys, let's jump into reason number 3 why your LLC could be audited. You don't know how to do bookkeeping, and you keep trying to figure out how to do it yourself. I don't know why. You suck at bookkeeping, and improper bookkeeping is another reason why you're going to be audited by the IRS. Let me tell you something. A majority of the people that do bookkeeping actually went to school to learn how to be accountants. You, on the other hand, probably didn't learn how to do accounting in school, but you took on the task as being a business owner and taking on the task of being a bookkeeper for the business as well. What a shame. If you happen to do your own bookkeeping, chances are you've increased your audit risk simply for the fact that you don't know what you don't know, which means you're a threat to your business and a threat to your company's financials every single year. If you're trying to be smart, then you would smartly outsource the bookkeeping because there's too many inconsistencies on the tax return due to improper bookkeeping. I hate when I see different categories on the tax return that I do not know or understand that the taxpayer decided to create because they didn't know which category to put the item in. This is called inconsistency in your tax documents, and that can trigger a red flag on your tax returns and cause you to get audited. After all, the employees at the IRS are specifically trained to look for these inconsistencies and bookkeeping errors. In order to prevent making bookkeeping mistakes that will trigger an IRS audit, you should strongly consider hiring a skilled bookkeeper or an accountant to manage the books for your business. If you're watching this right now, chances are if you ever work with my company, we would never let you touch your own books. It's just not going to happen. We are going to take control of the books because that's what my team has been paid to do. So if you're trying to grow fast, you're going to do it by making the smart decisions. And one of the smart decisions is to outsource your bookkeeping. Let's jump into reason number 4. Your expenses are in the wrong category. There are a number of different categories of business expenses. For example, there's a payroll category, there's a utilities category, there's a business and travel, and there's a lot of other expense categories. Unfortunately, many LLC owners make the mistake of adding expenses into the wrong category when they're doing their taxes or bookkeeping. Even if you made an honest mistake in adding expenses to the wrong category, it is going to look suspicious to the IRS. In fact, it might look like you're trying to hide something or manipulate the data for some specific reason. So for example, the IRS sees that you spent $20,000 on payroll, but then you put this expense under the business travel category, then this can definitely kind of mix up the tax returns and possibly even trigger an audit. If you're doing the books yourself for your LLC, then you need to be extremely careful not to accidentally put expenses into the wrong category. Again, consider hiring a tax professional or a bookkeeper or an accountant if you need assistance or if you're working a lot and you don't have time to do your bookkeeping at the end of the year. Let's jump into reason number 5 your LLC could be audited. Too much miscellaneous expenses on the tax returns. Miscellaneous income is a term that refers to income that is generally not considered to be revenue. Miscellaneous income is reported on Schedule C. Examples of miscellaneous income include income from hobbies and gambling and winnings. If you report too much miscellaneous income on your tax returns or report too much miscellaneous expenses on your tax return could be audited. Let's just sit here and think about it. What does the word miscellaneous really mean to you? It's kind of hard to decide, right? For example, let's imagine that you have never reported gambling winnings in your life. And then suddenly one year you report $500,000 worth of gambling winnings. This could definitely cause you to be audited by the IRS if you've never had these type of earnings before. So let's talk about it. What should you do if you're audited? Well, the very first thing you need to know about dealing with an IRS audit is that if you're being audited, you should know that you're being audited. IRS auditors send mail to your mail. And if you have not looked at that documentation, you could be behind on solving your audit. So you want to make sure you're actually seeing the mail show up to your house. Also, if you're getting a phone call saying that you're being audited, you're most likely being scammed. The IRS will not make any phone calls. Everything comes via the mail, not the phone. The next thing that you need to do is to collect all relevant documents. I want you to collect all your receipts. I want you to collect all your financial statements. I want you to collect all your records. I want you to get all your bookkeeping. The IRS will let you know which documents they will need. At this point, you might want to consider getting the assistance of a tax professional so you're not sending over too much documentation. This tax professional should specialize in audits and should specialize in representation. Implementing a tax professional at this point in the game can be a major asset in making sure that the situation is being handled as well as possible and in your favor. At the end of the day, you will either be able to prove that your records are accurate and that you don't owe any additional money, or it will be revealed that your tax returns contains errors or omissions. If this is the case, you will most likely end up owing more money to the IRS than you wanted to owe. Penalties and fines could also potentially be added on top of those amounts that you do owe. So you're probably wondering, who is at most risk to being audited? Super wealthy Americans or people who have annual incomes of at least 10 million are the group of people who are the most likely to be audited. In fact, roughly 6% of all Americans who fall into these groups get audited every single year. It makes perfect sense for these groups to be audited pretty regularly. The IRS has limited resources, so if it finds a mistake in the tax returns of the super wealthy, then the IRS can usually collect significantly more money in fees, back taxes, etc. than it would if it were to find a mistake on a taxpayer that's in a lower to middle class. However, even though the super wealthy get audited the most, even this group of people has been getting audited less due to labor shortages at the IRS. Does this mean you don't have to worry about getting audited yourself? Sorry guys, there's still a chance you're going to get audited too, even though the IRS hasn't been auditing quite as many people these days. They're getting caught up. COVID was a big year for them. Now they're hiring. It's coming. Last year, about 659,000 people in America out of a tax base of about 160 million people were audited. This puts your odds of being audited at around 0.4%. This might seem pretty low right now, and you're absolutely right, it is, but there are still hundreds of thousands of people who are being audited every single year in America, and you should aim to not be one of them. No one wants to get an audit. No one wants to deal with the IRS and pulling up documentation from years and years ago. It's expensive, it's tedious, and it's highly annoying. But unfortunately, many people have to deal with this every single year because they don't plan properly and make mistakes. Some of these people don't end up owing money. Some of these people do end up owing money. But avoiding IRS audits is something you can practice by simply following these 5 rules that we have stated in today's video. If you need any assistance in either reducing your chances of getting audited or dealing with an IRS audit after you have been informed that you are facing one, then feel free to get in touch with my office by clicking on the link in the description below. We are more than happy to represent you. I have tons of agents in my office who will represent you in front of the IRS. We would be happy to assist you. As always, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe underneath this video, and feel free to watch my free webinar where I'm teaching you how to save 6 figures in taxes. Would love to have you a part of the Tax Alchemy community. Thank you so much, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video. Cheers.